Hi, I'm Tom.
And I'm Lisa.
And welcome to the Marigold Life. Today we're going to make hot sauce. And this is one of the easiest, simplest hot sauces that I know, and it's also one of the best tasting. It only has 4 ingredients. We have here a pound of peppers. You can use any kind of peppers you like. These are cayenne peppers. But you can use chili peppers, jalapeno peppers, habanero peppers, anything that you like. It'll all come out good. We have a clove. We're going to use 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, fresh garlic. We're going to use about 2 cups of white vinegar. And we're going to use a tablespoon of sea salt or kosher salt. We want salt that doesn't have iodine in it on this. So those are the 4 simple ingredients that go into this, and it's a really good tasting sauce when we're done. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do today is we're going to chop up our garlic. And we just want to chop it into small pieces. We want it pretty finely chopped. So now we've got our garlic chopped up, and we're going to put that into our medium saucepan. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to cut the ends off our peppers, and then we're going to chop them up. Now I really recommend that you wear gloves when you're working with any kind of hot peppers. If you don't, it's going to hurt. So let's go ahead and we'll just start with our peppers here. And we're just going to take them and we're going to cut the stem end off and throw that away. We're going to keep the seeds and everything else. We're just going to chop the end pieces off, the stem end off, and get rid of it. So now we've cut all the stem ends off of our peppers, and we're going to start actually chopping up the peppers. So we'll just begin cutting them in thin slices. And if you want to, you can split the peppers and take the seeds out if you want a little milder sauce. But I like the hotter sauce, so I'm going to leave the seeds in. I'm just going to chop those up in thin rings, and then we'll just cut them up a little bit smaller, into smaller pieces. And then we're going to take those and we're going to put those into our pan. So we're making green sauce today because we don't have red peppers to make it with. But the green sauce is really delicious too. We might even want to make that kind of a regular thing. So we're going to just keep chopping up all our peppers and putting them into our pan. And as I said, you really recommend that you wear gloves when you do this because these peppers can really burn. And we just chop them up a little bit more and move them into our pan. So we're still chopping up our peppers. And as you're chopping these peppers, you may notice that your eyes burn a little bit or your nose a little bit because they do put off some fumes. And when we get to the stage where we're simmering them, they will put off even more. So you want to be careful. And whatever you do, don't be a pepper sniffer. Well, we finished chopping up our peppers now, and we've got the pot. We've moved over to the stove. And now we're going to add about 2 cups of white vinegar. So put in 2 cups. So we've added our 2 cups of vinegar, and I want to add a little bit more because my rule is kind of to get it to just over so that covers the peppers. So put a little bit more in. Now we're ready to go. We're going to turn on the stove to a medium high, and we'll bring this to a boil. Then we're going to lower the heat and simmer it for 5 minutes. So simmering is just a very low boil. Okay, well now this is coming to a boil, and so what I'm going to do is reduce the heat down to low so we can simmer this for 5 minutes. I'm going to set my timer, and we want to stir this occasionally as it's simmering. We don't want it to stick and burn. So we've simmered this now for 5 minutes, and if you can see in here, it's just a very low boil, and you can see that the peppers themselves are starting to cook and turn a different color of green. We stir this occasionally, and we're going to, at this point, we're going to add some salt. So we're going to use sea salt or kosher salt, and we're going to put a tablespoon in. We're going to stir that in, and we're going to simmer this now for another 10 minutes. And I might point out that it's a really good idea to do this in a well-ventilated area because it does put off some fumes. Well, we simmered this now for 10 minutes, and if you can see, the peppers have really started to cook down. But it's not really thickening. It's still kind of just very heavily cooked peppers in vinegar. So what we're going to do now, turn off the stove and set this aside to cool while we prepare our bottles. So now we're set up to sterilize our bottles. So we want to put these in good, clean, sterilized bottles. We've washed our bottles first with soapy water and rinsed them very well so there's no soap residue. And we're going to sterilize them. And for this, we've got a large pot of boiled water that we're going to bring to a boil here, and then a small pot of water over here that we're going to use to sterilize the caps. So now we can see we've got our pots boiling. They've got at a good boil. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our bottles in and our caps into the small pot over here using a pair of tongs. And we're just going to, as soon as we get our bottles in, we'll turn it off and we'll let them sit for a few minutes, and then we'll take them out, and they'll be sterile. So we're going to take them and put them in, and I'm kind of tilting them, trying to get them to fill as I put them in with water, with the boiling water. I may have to do 2 batches here. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to also put my caps in the small. Here I can just drop those in. And I'm going to push them around a little bit with a slotted spoon to make sure they do get down in the boiling water. And once they're in there and everything is boiling, we're just going to turn off the boiling water. And on this one, I'm going to have to do a batch here. So I'm going to start taking these out. Let the water drain out. And we're going to sit them down here. Sit them down here. And while we're doing that, I can start taking out the caps using a slotted spoon. And sit these on a clean towel over here. And I like to just sit these on top of the bottles to keep anything from possibly getting in the bottles. I'm not going to screw them on or anything, I'm just sitting them on there. Okay, so now our bottles are ready to go. And we're ready to move on to the next step of making our hot sauce, which is blending it. So now that we have our jars ready, we've let our peppers cool a bit. And so now we're going to put these into a blender. Take this off a little easier to pour this in. And I'm going to pour the peppers and vinegar and stuff in here. I'm going to scrape this down with a spatula to get everything out and into the blender. Okay, that looks good. Now I'll put this back on here. Get it in the right spot. Put the lid on. I'm going to plug in the blender. And we're going to turn it on high and at the highest setting. See how that looks. We still have some chunks and pieces in there, so we go do it a little bit longer here. And there we go. Now we have a pepper smoothie. So now the next step is we're going to strain out all the fibers and stuff that are left in there and anything that really didn't dissolve. So we'll open that up. I'm going to take this off and unplug the blender just for safety. Move that away. And I'm going to pour this into my strainer. And you can see that a lot of it is just running right through, but it's kind of building up there. We'll let it sit for a minute and go through. And I like to use the spatula, push this in. Kind of push it through the strainer. And we'll also use it to get all that we have out of all the bits out of the blender. And just kind of working it softly, gently through there. And we're getting a good batch here. You can see as I'm doing this, it's coming through. And you can see too that it has thickened as we're doing this. So we're starting to get a nice thick sauce. Okay, you can see here that we've got kind of a mush here of the fibery parts. So we'll just put those aside. We're not going to have any use for those. We'll just throw those away. So now we're ready to bottle it. And Lisa's going to help me with this. It's going to be kind of a two-person job. And she's going to hold the funnel, and I'm going to spoon it in, and hopefully we won't spill too much. You notice that we're wearing gloves for this, partially to keep things clean, and partially because we don't want a lot of hams in hot sauce. So I'm slowly pouring it in. We'll see when we get enough. This funnel kind of slow. We don't want to overfill.
Okay, I think you can put just a little
Just
bit more.
a little bit more.
Okay. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Okay. So we've got our first bottle and we're cleaning it up, so we're getting ready to put the cap on.
I'm just wiping around the rim with a damp cloth that I've also dipped a little white vinegar on.
Now we'll put on the cap. And the blender puts a lot of air into the mixture, so after it sits for a while, it'll be down a little bit and there'll be air on top. But that's just the way it works. So we're going to go ahead and we'll fill another bottle up here, and we won't make you watch us fill all the bottles.
We didn't have a funnel that quite fit the circumference of the circumference of the bottle, so it took a little teamwork to get this done. Just a little bit more.
We got it.
Okay.
Looks good.
Okay. Just gonna wipe it with a dry paper towel first, because we're a little extra messy.
A little sloppy, yeah. But we're
Not
good.
too bad. And then I can use my vinegar dipped cloth. Making sure there's nothing in the grooves. because we want this to last for as long as it will last, which is, how long is that, Tom?
This will last about 3 months. It's good for about 3 months if you keep it refrigerated. And you know, my experience is that we go through it pretty fast in about a week through a bottle this size.
Yeah.
So 3 months is a good long time. But we're also going to give a lot of this away. So that's our process for making hot sauce. And today we made 5 bottles of hot sauce. They're 5-ounce bottles out of a pound of peppers. So that's a pretty good for that. I really love this hot sauce. I like it on eggs, chicken, tacos, burritos, just about anything that I normally put hot sauce on. So we hope you try it and like it. And my name's Tom.
And I am Lisa.
And I hope you like and subscribe to us.
And ring the notification so that you will know when we put up another video. So keep enjoying the marigold life with us. Bye, guys.
Bye.